those very kind words, Bilal, and welcome to all you ladies and gentlemen here. I thought from the introduction that you gave me, when you referred to more or less 60 years of history of the Middle East Association, that you were going to ask me to go through that history and probably take the session up till 5 o'clock. But I'm not certain if I understood that absolutely correctly, so I may try and revise that and do things a little bit shorter than that. The Middle East Association has been in operation for nearly 60 years now, with its aim to promote trade between the UK and the 24 countries which make up the current MENA group countries that we look after. And as we are responsible for trade, quite clearly finance is a very key part to play in that. Now, the MENA group country probably represents something of the order of 300,000 Muslims. So it is going to be this Islamic finance to dynamize the trade, which actually probably does need dynamizing. I can only see that Islamic finance is going to play an increasingly important part in that. And of course, I've been absolutely thrilled, if I can use that word, to see it firsthand, talking to you, the important part that has been played by London in promoting this Islamic finance. But I think this is something that the whole of Europe can benefit from. And it's certainly because they have such large Muslim communities, some of them even larger than those that we have in the UK. So it is central, I think, to what we're trying to do today with the MEA, is to use Islamic finance as part of this push to promote trade between the MENA group countries and London. And I'm very happy, because we work with a lot of JV partners, to include Europe in that effort. Now, it was also very nice when the SMEs were talked about, because in many ways these are the group of companies that need the most help from a financial point of view in promoting the trade. We have a lot of SMEs in this country, very dynamic, very good products, absolutely ideal for working with the MENA group countries, but the finance available today for those SMEs is limited, very, very limited. And I think with this concept of sharing of risk, there is much to be done to provide better quality finance for the export effort from UK, and also I'm sure the same is true of the other main European capitals. Having said all that, I could just like to make a sort of rather a reflection on where we are today. We talk about Islamic finance is something new. It's a new concept that is coming to this country a little bit from outside. Now, we've probably got quite a lot of accountants here. I know we've got quite a lot of lawyers, but you actually have to handle figures, I think, most of the day, like I do. Now, if we think back to the time when we were all with Roman numerals, and then actually someone had a very good idea of importing from the Arab tradition to use the numerals that we use today, it has made life so much easier. Can you imagine doing what we do today with Roman numerals? I certainly can't. So, I mean, that we have absorbed absolutely, totally into our traditions of today, how we run our business, our lives, etc. So I think we're quite good at absorbing what are, frankly, very, very good ideas, and almost making them our own in the course of time. I think very few people, unless they know their history books, will necessarily understand that all the numerals that we use today have an Arabic origin. Maybe some people do, but I bet everyone doesn't. Because they look like ours, don't they? No, we write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are ours, okay? So I take a lot of comfort from the fact that we can absorb what I think is, you know, as it's been said so many times today, a very logical way of looking at finance and trade, and say, yes, there are new ideas which we've got to bring to it to make it better. And certainly if we go back again in history to when Muhammad set out, I mean, he came from a trading background, I think, or certainly his wife did, and what a success. What a success, you know, we saw with the Arab world. I mean, what else have we absorbed? All the culture that we've absorbed from the fine Islamic art. There have been fantastic things have happened on which are usually based on the success of trade. And I think that's what we've got to get back to. I like to talk about trade. I know we talk about insurance, we talk about ships and everything else, but at the end of the day, you know, trade is so important that it works well. And in fact, I think, you know, we have a sort of a house motto, which is peace with trade, okay? Now, to get trade, you need peace, all right? But the way to get there, bit by bit, is by building the trade, and then people want to keep the peace because the trade is successful. And I would like to leave those thoughts with you. I know I was supposed to take you all up till 5 o'clock, was it? But, you know, maybe you will forgive me if I don't. And I'll look at Bilal to see whether he wants me to recount more history, or have we covered the main points? Or would you like me to cover more points? Yes, please. Only history questions.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Bilal.
I mean, Middle East Association is a phenomenal brand name. And I encourage those who don't know about Middle East Association to look into Middle East Association. It's the first body in the UK which was dedicated to the Middle East. It brought back in, I don't know, in 1960s, King Faisal from Saudi Arabia. And it's a very prestigious organization. I was invited by Peter kindly to their annual dinner, and I was surprised pleasantly to find so many ambassadors, UK ambassadors and the Middle Eastern ambassadors, who are keenly involved and who contribute very importantly to the discourse and to the activities that Middle East Association is doing. My question is, I know you've mentioned Islamic finance is a key element, and I like the fact that you've mentioned SMEs and finance being limited for them, and Islamic finance can probably provide that better quality of finance. Through this platform, how do you envisage, and you've got an amazing market in the Middle East, which is really thriving. Sheikh Mohammed Rashid Maktoum of the Rule of Dubai wants to make Dubai the global Islamic economy hub. How do we tap into that with your special networks and the Middle East Association brand?
Well, I think I'm very lucky that I personally had 25 years in the city, which is somewhat unusual for the post that I hold now. Normally it's been more of a foreign office posting to take on the Middle East, which is why we have such good diplomatic links. But I think today, it was actually the FCA that asked me to take it on, because I think they said, well, today, you know, we've got to get more to grips with successfully financing trade, because there are a lot of efforts to promote trade, but unless you get the finance to go along with it, it doesn't actually work. So how do we tap in to the existing structures? I think probably, I mean, yes, you know, these structures like Dubai, but I still think that it's in Europe where we have more of the sophistication to perfect the instruments to go alongside what is actually required by the customer. You know, I think we've got to get back to actually saying what does the customer want and how can we adapt the products to them, rather than create the product which we think looks good and then try and sell it. My experience of working in North Africa, which Bilal has referred to, I went out about 15 years ago and had some pretty good business ideas, I have to say. They were pretty good. And I presented them to the country, which was Libya, actually, in this instance. And they all said, oh, yeah, that looks wonderful. And I said, well, okay, and now we would need this and this to make it work. And they looked at me and said, you know, I don't think we necessarily want all this. So I said, well, you know, I've prepared it for you. And they said, well, it's not actually on our book to do today. And so you then realize you should not be trying to sell these things too hard. You should be listening to what they wanted. So I spent the next 18 months, I think, which actually got my directors back in London somewhat concerned, just listening to what they wanted. I didn't try and sell anything. And then they told me what they wanted, because they have the confidence then to talk to you and open up as to what their real needs are, and then you tailor exactly what is required to their needs, and you're off. And I don't know if that rings true with any of you here, but I think that to make a great success of what we're trying all to do together, I think we have got to really listen to the people. I mean, I know you've listened to a lot of Muslims in this country who said, yes, you know, we'd like it, but we need it under Sharia law. I understand that, so you are listening very well here. But what you're also preaching is a universal truth. And I think that's come through very strongly today. It isn't just to serve the Muslim community. And you have, like you produced these numerals for us, which is, you know, fantastic gift to us. I think in here there is also a fantastic gift. But we've got to listen to the bits of the trade that need the help and say, okay, and this is how we're going to help you. Because it is, with the SMEs, you are talking very much about sharing the risk. Because they're not all capable of going and paying a big interest rate when they don't know how long it's going to take to get the business and how profitable it's going to be. So I think there's a great opportunity here, but I think if we could start by listening first of all to the exact requirements and then try and tailor what you are bringing, which is fantastic, I think, to meet those needs. And I'll be the first person to put my shoulder to the wheel and make it work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.